in the paper?
Unfortunately, the picture, no, but the article, yes.
Oh, I would like to see the article.
I'll
Eating it,
send
like
you.
I said.
Okay, welcome everyone. I am Sally Lipsky from Plant-Based Pittsburgh. And those of you that are on Zoom watching it online, just know that we know the videos just isn't, it's a disadvantage of being not at our library facility. So listen to Tiffany and we'll do the best we can. Tomorrow I will send everyone the video and any recipes accompanying it. And if you have questions, put it in the chat. I'll monitor the chat as we go along. And on that note, I am going to turn it over to Tiffany Taha, and I'm going to ask her to introduce herself. Hello,
Okay.
Tiffany.
Hello, Plant-Based Pittsburgh. So I'm gonna just put my glasses on and say how much I actually love medical technology and the advances we've made before I bash our system just a little bit. Welcome to Cheese from Trees. I'm Tiffany Taha with La Dolce Vita Estate, a small farm in the Laurel Highlands. Took me about an hour and 15 minutes to get here. So in English, that means that I am living the sweet summer life. I grew up in Pittsburgh, went to school in Edgewood, did my BS and master's in engineering at the UW-Madison, where I met my husband, who's also an engineer. And then I homeschooled and raised 3 engineers. Surprise! I wanted to form health policy. I basically wanted to tell everybody, hey, this is the way you should live. This is what you should do, right? Nobody really likes to hear that. So I ended up working as an epidemiologist with the CDC and the EPA on lead poisoning. And that is a case of cheap materials that really got the job done beautifully, but toxically. And nobody really worried about the long term. In fact, a friend who restores historic landmarks in LA, his grandfather would just have workers take a few days off. Whenever they got measles lines across their nails or discoloration, which was a marker for lead poisoning, hey, just go home, drink some milk, don't work on the windows, which is where a lot of lead poisoning happens. So anyway, our healthcare system has traditionally been one of dis-ease and instead of health and ease and happiness, right? With our third-party payer system, big pharma, and food manufacturers, we have created the perfect storm. We've basically found the golden goose. You can treat the symptoms instead of handling the root causes. So get them sicker quicker and then milk the cash cow. The lifestyle living medicine group that we get to see at Vegan Summerfest is starting to change that for America, and it's wonderful. Well, much like Brittany Giroudi, who's also a member of the group, I've watched my family members shorten not only their health span, but their lifespan. My dear grandmother and my wonderful Uncle Bill both died at 72 due to complications of diabetes. And as we all know, a lot of that is complications due to your diet. In fact, they lived in the same town as Brittany, really close to her. And my great grandfather, who came from a little village on a mountain in Calabria in Italy, came and built his house by hand on 3rd Street, close to Brittany. And he built 3 other homes there too. And then my great grandmother established a beautiful garden down over the mountain with wine and grapes and chickens and fed my mother and generations quite well. So it's worth finding an alternative to the standard American diet. Anyway, Beth and I have returned home after living abroad and domestically all over the place for 35 years. We've come to find our happiness in Pennsylvania, to borrow the tagline. And I sort of feel like we have found our acres of diamonds. You've heard the parable about the Persian farmer Ali Hafiz, who went out in search of riches, only to find that there were raw diamonds in his backyard. So here some of them are. And I didn't even put pictures up of the bitter greens and the weeds that are so healthy. But Mother Nature seems to know best. And self-heal and sheep sorrel just are always popping up at my feet. I mean, not to mention the dandelions, right? But this sheep sorrel, let me tell you, I think I have a TikTok on this. My kids make fun of me, but it's lemony. It tastes lemony. Like you might pay 30 bucks a pound for dandelion greens if you go to a nice little market. And there it is, just growing in my grass. So we have fruit and nut trees and an urban rose garden from which I produce a bunch of stuff. That's my mulberries there. And well, all right, enough about me. So why do we love cheese so much? Well, of course, it tastes good. It's that fat, right? That mouth feel you get. Oh, it's yummy. You're used to it. It's really part of the wine culture. And even though my little French farmhouse was built in 1931, possibly as a 3-story speakeasy, and it has plenty of other stories. During Prohibition, the alcohol culture is back, and you do want to pair things with your wine, and cheese is a great thing because it's so versatile. You can melt, you can spread it, you can chunk it, you can stick it in lasagna. We all love it. But really what it is, it's the opioids. Yeah, opioids. Cheese is addictive. The casein releases opiates called casomorphins right into our brain. Our brain loves that high. And I had already done some research on that when I saw this great video. And I'm going to let Rip explain it to you.
Reasons why cheese is not your friend, it is your foe. Number one, cheese is a massive concentrated source of calories. 1 8-ounce glass of cow's milk is 150 calories. 1 8-ounce glass of melted cheddar cheese is 960 calories. Most people are consuming 50 pounds of cheese a year. That's a lot of calories. Number two, cheese is just hardened meat. It's got the same DNA profile. So for example, 1 ounce of cheese has the same amount of cholesterol as 4.5 strips of bacon. And 1 ounce of cheese has 5 grams of artery clogging saturated fat. And number three, cheese is loaded with casomorphins. These are low levels of opiates that make us addicted to cheese. In fact, if you ask 100 people, what food would you have the hardest time giving up? 98 out of 100 say cheese. The other 2 say chocolate. So what is cheese? It's dairy crap. You're going to be better off by kicking it out of your life by a straw.
That doesn't take a lot. Like 1 little ounce of cheese, that doesn't take you a lot to get all those calories, right? Well, we need an alternative. So, can you see? Yeah. Okay, good. So we've had a couple different iterations of vegan cheese. We've had the saucy vegan, and you might get that in a cookbook. This is Angela Leiden's most recent cookbook, and she has vegan cheese sauce 2.0. So it's, carrots and cashews and some nooch and some of the same things we're using. Unfortunately, she puts oil in it, and she does that a lot in her cookbooks. I love her cookbooks, but you kind of have to just delete if you're SOS free and trying not to have salt, oil, or sugar. Or yeah, right. Salt, oil, or sugar. And then we've had the melted crayon. We've all had it. You go out and get a pizza cheese, right? And it has basically, it's made from fat and starch. And so you could just like leave that off my pizza because it doesn't even taste that good. I hate to have to pick it off. Then we have the Culture Club, which is what we're going to be doing. We have cultured or fermented cheeses, and that gives you the right umami flavor. And if you notice, when you go to the store to buy it, also there's oil, and it's often coconut oil. So today we're not using any of that. And now we even have vegan cheese that is starting to win awards. So the Epicure, the next level of aged cheeses, people are doing beautiful cheeses that look like cow's milk cheeses. Let me tell you about some
That's facing a major
drama.
cheese controversy. Because for the first time ever, a vegan cheese beat dairy in a big competition. The Good Food Awards is an annual competition that awards foods that are good. And in January, they announced this year's finalists for best cheese, among which was this vegan blue cheese. Okay, they clearly captured the look of real blue cheese, but have they captured the flavor of severed foot fished out of a canal? The vegan blue is the product of a company called Climax Foods. This was a major deal because vegan cheese, while allowed in competition, has until now never been good enough to be in a blind taste test and become a finalist. But then, just before the actual winner was to be announced, the foundation quietly disqualified the vegan cheese. And when asked why, declined to say. Then the CEO of Climax revealed that their vegan cheese wasn't just a finalist, it was set to win the award. In fact, that all parties were asked to keep confidential until the official ceremony. Really? Really? You couldn't just let vegans have this one thing?
Yeah, so we're giving them a run for their money. You can see what's happening with our dollars. People are wanting an alternative. All right, so let's get on to making our cheese. What are the steps? Well, first we want to ferment a grain. Wait a minute, I feel like
Because
Well,
basically,
maybe. ferment a grain, soak the nuts, blend it, culture it, which just means we're gonna let it sit there and do its thing for a day or two, or maybe 36 hours. And then you can mix in more things, some spices and herbs, shape it, and it's very important to chill it. So even though we're gonna make some of this stuff, it needs to be chilled for another 6 hours. But from the power and the magic of television, we have it in all stages. All right, how do you culture your cheese? There are two options to get probiotics into your body that I'm gonna tell you about tonight. One, you can make either one of these at home, and I'll show you how to make yogurt from my TikTok page, and then we'll ferment some grains. All right, so here's a quick.
Today I'm going to serve the yogurt from the Instant Pot. Using Trader Joe's soy milk. A tablespoon of yogurt. This is started in one jar. 14 hours instant pot yogurt.
So the best one, and Jill Nussbaum talks about that, but the best one is that I found is that Trader Joe's soy milk. And so you just divide it into two of these, a tablespoon of yogurt in there, stick it in your Instant Pot for 14 hours on the yogurt thing. And I am loving it. It's beautiful. It takes the guesswork out of yogurt. But today we're going to use Rejuvelac. And Rejuvelac is closely related to a traditional Romanian drink called boors from fermented wheat berries. Anne Wigmore popularized that as part of her Hippocrates diet. When she was diagnosed at 50 with colon cancer and given 6 months to live, she decided she should start eating like her Lithuanian mother told her to. And so she went back and started having Rejuvelac, a fermented grain. She had a lot of wheatgrass, and she ended up living 84 years. She may have lived longer, but there was a smoke inhalation problem. So anyway, you can visit her natural health institute in Puerto Rico and have this energy soup 3 times a day. And it's only about $1,000 a week. So we can make it free from our own grains, and that's not that hard. So we're going to sprout some grains. So I have brown rice here, and I just need a cup of that. Well, let's see. We'll just put that in a jar. So say I got this from East End Co-op. It's organic short grain brown rice. All right. So I'm gonna take a cup of that. You really want a quart jar for this. I don't know. This is just the show and tell part. I'm getting a rice everywhere. So for the first step, it doesn't really matter what you have in it for the first step. But anyway, you'll submerge this in water for 8 to 12 hours.
Did you say similar?
Submerge.
Submerged.
Put water on over top of it. All right, and then after that, you're gonna dump the water out. So I love these little bean screens because you can just drain it and strain it. And I have some if anybody wants to get them afterwards. And you just put the water on, then you can just dump it out. And after the first 8 to 12 hours, now you're gonna moisten this. You're not gonna cover this. And we'll change the water once or twice a day, okay?
Is it filtered water or just?
Doesn't matter.
Tap water?
Doesn't matter for this
Chlorine
stage.
isn't affected.
I don't think so.
Okay, sure.
I can't get this one on, but that is, yeah. Later, I'm gonna add filtered water. We'll talk about that in a second. So, you're gonna let that sit 3 days and you're gonna just, so here's, what it looks like this. You wanna see the tails, basically. All right, so 3 days, I'm gonna drain this in my little sink that I'm making. And, that's all the water I had in there after that first initial submersion. So you just wanna moisten it and, if you give it a little whack there. Now, this is filtered water. You don't necessarily have to use it, but why not use filtered water? A lot of people have a lot of lead in their water, so yeah, good idea. So that's a little too much water to let that sit. And it doesn't matter if you change it once or twice. It's fine. What you want to end up with, okay. So once I have beautiful tails on this, I'm gonna split this into jars this big. Okay, so it'll be a half cup of rice in each one of these jars. And basically, if it's a quart, you just fill it up with your filtered water. You cover it with a cheesecloth, and you're gonna let that sit there for 1 to 3 days. All right, and what you want is a tangy, cloudy liquid. I don't know if you can, I'm gonna actually need to use this, so I'm not gonna pass it around, but it has been just bubbling beautifully. And it's got that little, can you see the little bubbles on there? And
1 to 3 days.
it stinks. It stinks. A little bit stinky. And that's how you make a good cheese. All right. So it can keep in a month. Sorry. You can keep that in the fridge for a month. So you might want to split this down and not make this much. Like, I have not gone through all of this in the month that I've been making cheeses. You could just do half of this and just make a bunch of cheese. It's fun. You can also drink it. And as you know, you can also put it in soup. So, all right. So now we are going to have our rejugulac. So which nuts to use? Cashews give you a very nice, smooth, tasty feel. Brazil nuts have a really high fat content if you want to bump that fat content up. But I have some black walnuts. Let's hear Dr. Greger. And this is my last one.
Best nuts.
There's really only one. There's
Yeah.
really only
He gets
one.
very excited about it.
It's walnuts. Now, see, normally when I say like, eat cruciferous vegetables or something, they're like, which one's best? I'm like, whichever one will eat. You like broccoli, eat broccoli.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
like bok choy, eat broccoli. Like look, whatever one you'll get into your face, that's it. Walnuts really do pull ahead, and that's because they have more omega-3s than other nuts, they have more antioxidants than other nuts, and they're the only nuts shown to acutely improve artery function within a matter of hours. In fact, in the PREDIMED study, which is this large randomized controlled trial over years of thousands of individuals, although mixed nuts certainly did lower cardiovascular disease rates, it was still walnuts that appeared to be the most critical part.
The benefits are that great.
Are that great. In the Adventist cohort, the Loma Adventist cohort, they think it accounts for 2 years of extra lifespan.
Come on.
It is one of the only foods, there's only 2 foods that have ever been associated with increase in literally years, plural, a single food, and nuts is one.
Okay, I love him. I like to see him at being in Summerfest. He just cracks me up. So walnuts, yay. I happen to have some native black walnut trees in my backyard.
Wow.
And we have them growing all over the place. And I just love them. So they're a superfood. They're full of vitamins and minerals. They have the highest protein of all nuts, which I know nobody here has a protein deficiency. It's more like a fiber deficiency in this country, but it's nice to know. And they are, so when I talk about a black walnut to people, they always say to me, oh my gosh, they're so hard to crack. My mother made me crack them. And then she would bake me these wonderful like desserts with the black walnuts, and people get very excited about it. And it's always nice to hear they really are hard to crack. But the other thing people say is that it kills everything around them. And I think what happened is somebody left, you see these green, this is the black walnut, but it's the green husk on there. And if you just let that drop and rot, it turns black. And somebody's livestock ate all of that and they died. Sorry. But And maybe you just have to clean it up. I don't know. It could be dangerous for animals, but it also kills plants within 50 feet of it sometimes. This is what I hear. On my little farm, happen to have, somebody knew what they were doing, and I have a guild. I have it growing in a guild. So I have black walnut, I have apple, and I have mulberries, and they don't mind. They're happy as can be. Even my chestnuts are fine. What else? Let's see. Oh, when we tap our maple trees, we also tap our black walnut tree, and it produces the most amazing subtle syrup. So it's like, it's similar to maple syrup, but much more subtle. You can bake with it. You can do all sorts of things. Here is, I love this name. You can make a liqueur from your green, when the walnuts are still green, before you've shelled them and cured them and cracked them. And it's called Nucino. And this is a chef, Patrick Miller, who made this batch, and it's called Faccio Brutto. It's gonna make you ugly. That's what the title is. But anyway, he takes the green walnut, cuts it in half, macerates it with 8 other ingredients, including citrus peel, allspice, vanilla, cacao. It takes about 3 weeks, and he puts it with a grain alcohol. And then he's selling it out of New York. All right, my favorite thing to make, well, besides my necklace and bracelets and stuff, is ink. I just love making ink. You can dye things with the green husks, but also, like, my husband will clean these for me, and his hands will turn black and get burned if he doesn't wear gloves. When I take those green husks, I treat them and I turn it into ink. And you can see that it's sort of a black if you're just gonna use like a quill, but then when you paint it, it's a little bit of, it's like a brown, a warm brown color you get from this ink. And I preserve that with a clove. So I'm trying not to use unnatural things. Anyway, I make lots of, in my village in Calabria, walnuts were amulets, so they would protect you. So I make lots of amulets and purse, decorating things. All right, back to making cultured cheese. So we've gotten our Rejuvilac. We've not talked about soaking the nuts yet, but that's what we're going to talk about now. So I soaked 2 cups of cashews just for this, to run this through here. And I need to rinse them somehow. So, tricky. Yeah, and okay, I think.
Your
All right,
lovely
I got
assistant.
it. My lovely assistant. Okay, well, I'm gonna just drain this lovely assistant.
Yeah.
Thanks, babe.
Are you going to introduce us to your lovely
This
assistant?
is my husband Basil. And he's had to do all the heavy carrying. All right, I'm washing my hands well over there. So you want to soak whatever nuts you're gonna use for 3 to 8 hours. So I soaked these this morning. And that will just make it blend up and not be grainy. You don't really want a grainy cheese. So,
She's doing her weights.
all right, I'm gonna stick it in my Vitamix. I haven't tried it in anything else. My sister-in-law may be in labor, so she's just checking. Let us know. Let us know how it goes. All right, so soak nuts. I'm making a basic cheese here right now. 2 cups of nuts, 3 to 8 hours. I'm gonna now the next step in your Rejuvilac, after it gets this beautiful color, you're gonna strain it, decant it. You're gonna throw away the grain. All right, and I'm gonna use a quarter to a half cup of Rejuvilac here. I'm probably gonna use that much. That's how much I'm gonna use, a little more than a quarter of a cup. And then I'm gonna just use a little pinch of salt, which.
What container is it in?
It's in a squat, one of these, but shorter.
I don't see it.
All right, we may be having a salt-free cheese, which might not be a bad. I'm gonna tantalize your taste buds. I'm gonna put a little bit of this fleur de sel.
You forget,
In-
Not the one we're gonna.
This is not the one you're gonna eat, but I might eat it.
Yeah.
I might eat it, and so it gets a little bit of salt. All right. So it's gonna be loud. Ooh, did I almost unplug the screen? Okay, I think I got everything in there. Uh-oh. No, that's not my problem. Can you come here? My problem is that it just, I don't know what the heck my problem is. All right. I am gonna, but I don't have the notes, so. Okay, so. Even though I have this tamper here, you know, you gotta kind of. Scoop it down from the sides, because you end up with some. Nuts that don't want to get in there. And yeah, I think I put a little too much Juvelac in there. You can adjust.
Did you say you use yogurt or Rejuvelac
There are two ways to do it,
with yogurt? Or-
and we're not doing anything with yogurt today.
Okay, because you were mentioning yogurt, I
Yeah.
was trying to fit that into what you were talking.
There's a story there, and so when we talk about the pumpkin cheese, I'll tell you about that, but we're just using Rejuvelac
Okay,
today.
yeah.
Okay, so a little more, and then. Oh my God, it smells so good, I have to say. All right, so that's your basic base of many, many things, and many of the things that we're gonna be making today. Oh. All right. So. Now, you have to culture this, so it has to sit. A little bit of time.
But maybe by the time your cheese is ready, you've lost your taste for cheese.
Well, hey, nothing comes easy, right? You could do a quick little cheese.
Whoa.
Whatever, but we're trying to make something that goes really beautifully onto a charcuterie, not a charcuterie, just a cheese plate.
Yeah.
And I want it to stand up when I go to somebody's house and they're having beautiful cheese and everything. I want to have beautiful cheese, so I'm okay with waiting. It's just you do have to plan ahead a little bit, right? You need like that week to get the Rejuvelac, and then you need to plan ahead, basically.
Now, I've never heard of Rejuvelac. Yeah,
Have you heard of
Sally.
wars?
Now,
Yeah.
where have you been?
I've
Yeah,
been
we
hearing
really
the.
cool. You seem like you're in the know. All right,
I don't know.
It's really good.
I'm gonna cover that with cheesecloth. I brought some cheesecloth.
Yeah.
We need cheesecloth. All right, that's gonna sit.
was just meat.
That's right.
raspberries. Meat, you know, meat
Oh,
berries.
well, I'm
They're-
glad you came.
It could be made from any grain.
grain.
Yes, and I did it with rice. The one that the cheese we're gonna eat, I did with rice, because a lot of people are
Yeah,
gluten free.
we use wheat.
How do you
Yeah, I
spell
like
Rejuvelac?
wheat. It really, I guess it's beer-like. It's really.
How do you spell it?
Just like
REJUVELAC.
You can
All
look
right, so
online.
next,
Okay.
we're gonna leave that sit for 1 to 2 days. And now we're gonna make a lemon peppercorn one, okay?
Ooh.
So I'm gonna take the magic of television. I have something that's been sitting there long enough for us to culture. It's cultured. We're gonna mix it in. So we're gonna take half of this. And it's, oh, God, I just put it in water. Okay. I will,
You have a sink here.
yep.
Where's your assistant?
Sleep on the job.
That's-
Sleep on the job. He doesn't know where I'm going with any of this, so.
I just enjoy the product.
Well, of course, yeah.
Sounds very smart.
All right,
you let that fit on.
1 to 2 days.
A 1 to 2
Yes,
days.
yeah.
Not-
Okay, so
Out, not refrigerated.
no, just out on your counter. So we are gonna zest this lemon into this is the working one. So we've got a lemon peppercorn one coming up, okay? So, there we go. And you don't want to get, the white part because it's bitter. You just want to get the rind. So we'll just kind of go around and zest this. Oh my gosh, do you smell that? It smells good. And it looks pretty. And we will be eating one like this, so that will be fun. Yes. And I wash it with soap in addition, so. All right. Did I get it all? I like it to be a little more tangy, so I try to get that in here. I can't wait to, try to clean this up. I don't know. All right, so we will also put the juice of this lemon in there. And I have a little reamer. So I do not want the seeds in there. I suppose I could squeeze this into this jar and strain it out with the bean screen. Because I did say I like that technology, so I'm going to use more technology in the presentation. And yep, at home, I usually compost. This compost seems to take a very long time, but it's so worth it. Thank you, Vanna. Thank you, Vanna. Good thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. All right. So where's the bean screen? There we go. We're gonna dump that in there. It works so well. I don't know. Is it me? Maybe. All right, we're gonna dump that in there.
What she did.
And we're gonna put a little bit of nooch in there too, which, as you all know, is hidden somewhere. But it's nutritional yeast. Huh, I brought an apron too. I forgot to put the apron on. We're gonna put a tablespoon of nooch in there. Or should we put in 2? I think we'll put in 1.
So she did lemon zest.
Okay.
And what else?
That's all so far. Since you left.
So all you need to do is mix that up.
Hold it.
No, David, I'm not folding it. Okay, that's a Schitt's Creek reference. If you don't know how to fold it, I can't tell you everything, right?
I saw a scientific study that said stirring and folding is equivalent.
Did you really?
All that,
Sometimes you cut.
all that
Thanks,
wrist
right?
action is wasted.
Ah, well, it made a very funny skit on Schitt's Creek with Catherine O'Hara, and I just loved that. My kids laugh at me about that all the time. Okay, so that's mixed in. I'm trying not to get it on me. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a ramekin, and I already put some cheesecloth in there, and I'm gonna dump in some peppercorns,
Oh, wow.
organic peppercorns.
Full.
So also organic nuts we're using here. I spared no expense.
Wow.
So
Is it
well,
whole peppercorn?
they are whole peppercorns, yeah. And because these soaked, I could have probably just used a little. I used a little more than a 1/4 cup of Rejuvelac. I maybe should have used less. But anyway, I'm gonna put that in there. And I'm gonna press it down. And then I would refrigerate this for 6 hours at least, okay? And I'm gonna just move that aside for a minute, Sally, sorry. Okay, so that's our lemon peppercorn cheese. 6 hours in the fridge, it'll be ready. let me show you what else you can do. And we're gonna make a chev. And we are going to roll it in dill. So you're gonna have, you want some variety on your cheese plate. I wrap this up in cheese paper so that and labeled it to roll in dill. So
Right.
I grew the dill, kept it in the fridge because I thought it was gonna be a frost. And I don't know how much dill we need. Let's see. How about that much? All right. We will. Let's see, this we don't want to be lemony. All right. So we'll just. Now, it's so much easier if you formed the cheese before you try to refrigerated it to form it. Oh my gosh, I tried to do it right out of the bowl and it was very hard to shape. So chilling is a good thing. With or without Netflix. Okay. So let's unroll this. Okay, so we have a log of cheese
Wow.
and we're gonna just roll that beautifully in the dill.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's pretty, right? You want to eat this.
That's amazing.
I mean, I don't feel like I'm missing out when I go to somebody's party and I can bring this along with me because
Well, always right.
please don't roll off their log. I have something to eat because you have a little one and you start maybe wanting to eat what everybody else is eating. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. All right.
Right here, is it, right there.
We'll show it to you later too,
Yeah.
because, all right.
Yep.
So here's what we just made. This lemon peppercorn cheese. And
Smells good.
I liked this picture and I just wanted to show you that we also have a pumpkin over here. We may have a pumpkin over here. I'll bring it to you, Sally. I'll bring it to you.
Okay.
So here's a little pumpkin. I'm gonna stick a little
Oh, my
pepper
God.
on there, pepper stem. Isn't it cute? We're gonna have a Halloween. We're gonna have a Halloween cheese plate.
Oh,
And
my-
let me tell you, I came up with that idea because I had to make. It was my month to bring the treat to the garden club, and after like weeks of phone calls, I called the lady back. I said, "Listen, I'm gonna bring vegan cheese to this garden club of non-vegans." Oh, she says to me, well, you could just make that in the shape of a pumpkin. Is that what you're thinking about doing? And I was like, oh. Another week later, I was able to figure out how to shape this pumpkin cheese. So, the trick is to chill it in saran wrap and not in cheesecloth. Yeah, there are a couple other tricks too, but the big trick is and I'm gonna say it the Pittsburgh way, 4 gum bands. You put that
Gum
and
bands.
you get a beautiful pumpkin with ridges. Thank you.
Rubber bands to everybody who's not.
Rubber bands will translate you out there in La La Land.
Yes,
All right.
it is steel, Lori.
So-
Oh, geez, yes.
Now I want to add some, well, let's add some beans to our cheese board, right? Nuts have they're high calorie, not a lot of fiber. So I want to add I'm going to put out some organic hummus. This is La Dolce Vita Estate organic hummus. I make it it's a new scent. We're having a new scent in the room. I make this with organic beans. I soak them. I cook them myself. I don't put in citric acid and I don't put in oil. Like when I go shopping, I find a lot of hummus with oil in it, not even the traditional way to do it. Okay. Usually you just put the oil on top of the hummus so it doesn't dry out. People are putting oil in. I don't know why. So I had to make my own. That's something that's going to go on my cheese plate. You asked about yogurt. So I'm on this yogurt, I guess it's all about cheese this month. I'm on this yogurt kick and I made lebne. So you make the yogurt and then you drain it. And that'll be on our cheese board too.
Wow.
I'm gonna make that more pretty. I forget what I was gonna do with that. Oh, I was gonna put fresh mint on there. Remind me, we're gonna have a pretty one there too. The next thing I wanna put on my cheese board, it's really easy. You're gonna like this because you don't have to plan in advance. We're gonna have Haya Yako. Haya Yako. You wanna say that, right? Haya Yako. It is raw tofu. I'm going to Japan. I can't wait to go to the Haya Yako bar. They do have raw tofu. I don't know how they make it there. I'll let you know in about a few months. But if you marinate tofu for an entire week, you will end up with a very spreadable tofu. But I don't want a spreadable tofu. I want a chunk because people are eating chunks of cheese. And that's what I want on my board. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, it's hard to see even with glasses without enough light. So I found it. I found the tofu. We are going to chunk up this beautiful organic tofu from, yes, the East End Co-op. I love it. I don't know. We're going to do it this way. So we're going to just chunk this up and we're going to, if only I had a spritzer, we would be spritzing Bragg's amino acids on this. I don't know, couldn't find it. So we're going to be dumping it on very gracefully.
You can just put some in your mouth and go like this.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I do.
That would be a class act. I'll tell you. All right. So the other thing we'll do is dip it in some spices. As you can see up there, we have different colors on our hayayako. So we'll be dipping it and you can taste it and you're gonna be like, oh, this is a raw tofu. Yeah, that's what it is. But it did the trick for me.
When you say raw tofu, it's just,
Yeah,
In order.
I haven't fried it, is what I'm saying. I mean, I haven't
Make
done
tofu
anything.
involves cooking the soybean.
yeah.
Like,
If you ever do it with,
raw tofu meaning plant.
miso over top of it and then you let it ferment for like 3 days.
That's what I just said, and it gets like spreadable, right?
Well, it holds its shape.
Oh, maybe you need to go for a whole week to get it to be,
No, 3 days.
yeah, there
And you
is,
cover it in cheesecloth
uh-huh,
and then you scrape all the miso off of it and then it's like, it stays solid.
yeah. So if you go for a week, it becomes spreadable. I don't know. It's a recipe in a different chapter of this book. I'm kind of sticking
Okay.
to some recipes in first chapter, and this is Miyoko's cheese. You can buy it on the shelf, but it's got oil in it. Because that's what people buy in the grocery store,
Yeah,
evidently.
it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fabulous. All right, so we're gonna get that a little bit dredging there. And then I'm gonna take some herb de Provence, because it is a French farmhouse. And I'm gonna just dip it in there. I would like this to sit a little longer, but well, I'm gonna run out of space. You guys are gonna have to eat a lot.
Well, a lot of people.
Can we do it? I don't know. All right, so these are just nice little cubes when everybody else is eating, cube cheese. We can make some more of these as we go. Here's some curry powder. That was the herb de Provence. This is curry powder, which my sister asked me to bring to Arizona tomorrow morning when I leave at 6 a.m. from the airport.
Oh,
But I could only find one. So I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't dip too many and I can take her the rest.
yeah, right.
Yeah. All right. So see, it's cute. It's got protein. It will hopefully not burn your mouth with the curry powder. All right, well, there's your hayayako. I'm gonna do one more flavor just for. Oh, I'm gonna do black sesame seeds. Yeah, organic black sesame seeds. They're fabulous. They look good. and you can
Are these-
dance to
are
them.
These, all these different varieties coming from the same base that you made?
This is just tofu. This is
Oh,
just
that's the
tofu.
tofu.
Yeah,
Hayata.
hayako. Sorry, I expand rather than contract, so I just was like, well, we gotta have a balanced charcuterie board.
That's nice.
And, all right, you're probably tired of watching me do that, so we'll move on. Next. That's all I wanted to say there. Wow. All right, well, when you start a new hobby, it often takes a lot of equipment, right? But really, you have a lot of this stuff at home. My favorite thing to use is the ramekin, because I get a nice little round and I can take that to lots of parties. I can do whatever with it. I have a Tajin up there. If I want a real, I just open the lid, the orange thing. If I want a bigger round, I put it in there. If I get desperate and like this week, I ran out of all the equipment, I just use the jars. And you end up, you might be eating one like that. You end up with a little bit of a concave top, but you know what? You could put flowers on it, which don't let me forget to do that. And when I make a big batch of something and I want to reserve a little bit of something to see if it's going to taste good later, I'll use a square bottom one and I'll just have a little like pat of cheese and I'll taste that before I take it to a party. So, oh, well. Huh, how much time do we have? We're getting there. We have to eat, don't we? I was gonna show you how to make a boursin out of this cheese. So we talked about same technique, but this has black walnuts, Brazil nuts, and cashews in it. And to make a boursin, it just takes, that same basic thing with the 1/4 cup of Rejuvelac and a pinch of salt. It sat for a while. It actually sat for 2 days. And then what you do is you're gonna mix in some dried herbs. All right. So here are the dried herbs. You only need, sorry, Sally, I'm scaring you. Here are. Just know where to go. Let's see. I think I have. Yes, I have lemon verbena. Where'd the bowl go? All right, so lemon verbena. I probably have. I feel like I have mint in here. Oh, and that's not what we want on there. Okay, so we'll put that on the lemonade. Just to be pretty. It's really pretty with olive oil, but SOS free. We have some tarragon in here, which will be lovely. Now, if you're using dried herbs, they've got much more bang for their buck. Did I say there was oregano? There's oregano. All right. And we can use a little bit of a fresh herb too. Basil. All right. So we'll chop that up and mix that in. That will also take garlic. Ooh, that smells good. Okay. So I want 2 tablespoons of nooch in that one. So this is a boursin with walnuts, a walnut base with herbs. We're going to put 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast in that one. And a pinch of salt. And 3 cloves of garlic. So I grew this garlic. I brought the little tiny ones because they're harder to replant. You're supposed to plant the bigger ones. So, all right. And you're supposed to plant that during Veterans Day and harvest it during 4th of July. So I love this little piece of technology. They did just clean this table right before we set it up because when I walked in, I thought I was going to be here like at 4. I got here at 5:15 and the place was full of children. And I was like, wait, am I in the wrong room? They're like, oh no, you're in the right room. I was like, where should I set up? All right, so we'll do all this garlic. And it's supposed to, yeah.
I just smashed mine.
I do too, but I thought this would be faster. I was trying to take up the whole amount of time and I think I can do it. Give me a platform. All right, I'm gonna just really do this kind of, I would normally do this so carefully, but I've got tofu on my cutting board. And we're gonna have some chunky boursin in about a week.
Sorry, I'm only finished. Did I get you one for that?
All right, so just mix that in. I'm gonna hold that up and let you all see what's in there. I didn't know if there was gonna be like a mirror above my head or, no, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. I've been to meetings here. Wow, this will be really chunky. I'm gonna leave all this with my mom while I take off to Arizona, so mom, we're gonna have to eat all this, but that's what that looks like.
Wow.
And ooh, we'll just mix that all together. And we need to form that and refrigerate it for does anybody remember how long you want to refrigerate it?
6 hours.
6 hours at least. We want to chill it. Now, if you're gonna make a bunch at once, you can freeze it. Some of the probiotics do live even through freezing. And the way I would do that would be parchment paper. Anybody see it? There it is. Yeah, this is cheese paper, which is really fun. It's a little thicker and it's waxed. And here's parchment paper. And I'm going to use Ann Ethelton trick. If you've followed her, if you watch her and Jane on Instagram, they have all sorts of tricks. And one of her tricks is to crumple up the paper, right? So it doesn't float around. You would just stick that on your cookie sheet and stick your formed cheese on here, throw it in the freezer for a few hours till it hardens. And so then you can stick that in whatever, like whatever you're going to freeze it in. You want it to retain its shape. But don't forget, when you want to thaw it and take it somewhere, take it out of the packaging, thaw it on a plate so you have a pretty dish of cheese. All right. So I think I'm going to try out some silicone I've never done this, but I think this should make a kind of a nice little pumpkin. And so let's hope that you don't need cheesecloth. Let's just do this on a wing and a prayer. And so I would just do that, pop it in the fridge. And hopefully for Halloween, I'll have more sun. Okay. Now, what else do I want to tell you? Well, this is what we'll be eating today. I picked those from my little herb garden and then I chopped stuff up. And those are the herbs that are actually in one of the ones that we're eating. There were 2 batches of boursin on the board. One has Brazil nuts and more garlic and sage than the other. One was a dome shaped one because I didn't have any other vessels. I threw it into a bowl and it will be just fine. And the other is formed into a round. So know your cheeses. Anyway. Oh my goodness, there's more work to be done. Now we need to create a pretty and well-balanced cheese board. And there's a lot of chopping to do. So I don't know, honey, I'm looking at you. It's always nice to put fresh fruits and vegetables on your cheese board so that people are kind of having a salad with, a smattering of nuts. And you want to put an odd number of cheeses on there. So I've already put out some grapes. Here is one of the here's the lemon peppercorn that we're eating. You can have a virtual cheese there, guys, on there. I think I'll just set that on there. On that one. And then Here's that morcin I talked about. It's a little bit, it's the little, this was in a jar. You can see how concave that top is. Okay. And maybe we don't need to put out, well, let's see how much you guys can eat. And then there's more cheese where that all came from. So, if I had a free cutting board, I would, let's see, I'll just make a free cutting board. And I'm gonna cut up some fruit on this board. And then we'll eat that. So carrots are great. Well, I guess I'll do some vegetables first. Carrots are great. You can make them like chips, right? And you just take off the tops. And I'm gonna slice them on the diagonal so I have bigger scoopable stuff. And that will make a nice crudité for your cheese plate. Do I dare stick them on there? I hope they don't fall off. All right. And you can put whatever you want on there, cucumbers, pears, apples. What I want to tell you about the fruit is sometimes, as you well know, it turns brown. And so, oh my God. Okay, everything will be on the floor by the time I'm done. Boy, this will be fun to clean up. So you're gonna have to help me out, eat the food, so I don't have to pack it up.
I don't think we'll have any trouble with that.
I think it's the right group, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can taste this with fruit or with crackers, which I also brought. And so you don't want your fruit to turn brown. That's what you were saying a moment ago, right? Right. The trick to that is to sprinkle something on it. And I like to usually, I'm gonna use a pumpkin spice blend. A handy pumpkin spice blend. That, it's also a La Dolce Vita one. I just want to show you the artwork. My daughter did the artwork, and that's our little turret. So this has cloves, it's organic, it's beautiful. I'm gonna have to dip my fingers in there. And I'll sprinkle this way. It's good to eat just without the cheese, but it also kind of detracts from the browning that happens from some vegetables.
I think we're gonna sprinkle it with some lemon juice.
Well,
I know, change it.
if I were gonna dehydrate it really nicely, I would do that, but I ran out of time, and so the apples that I dehydrated, I even skipped the lemon juice. So, but it's nice to put some dehydrated fruit or some, dried fruit on with your other stuff. We're gonna stick some crackers here. This is I just cut them and leave the seeds. So you're gonna have like a little star in your apple. If you want that arsenic or whatever it is, fine, have the seed. It's not gonna kill you in a small amount. Get rid of it otherwise. This is a mulberry. Yeah, it's a mulberry jam that I made without sugar. I sweetened it with dates. So that's on there's nowhere to put it. I'm gonna leave it here. Okay, and then the one thing, so my daughter goes to school in Canada. And the one thing I ask this girl to bring me back every time she comes home is kale chips. These are a little sweet. They're not my favorite. The original, better than cheddar are my favorite. And so I'm gonna put some of that on there, and that's a dried kale. It does have coconut sap in it, so it's a little bit of a sugar there, right? I don't really want them to get wet, but there they are. You can try that. I think, yeah, and I'll also give you these sweet ones so you guys can decide. But she knows, we go in, we clean out the place. I'm like, could you give me a discount? She's like, Mom, I brought some power snacks. They're like a chocolate brownie. You can read what's in there. But that's a way to get your chocolate in there. I'll put it by the tofu. What else? What else did I bring you? I made mustard. So here's some mustard if you like, if you're German and you want to dip that mustard in there. Oh, pungent. I'm gonna leave that there. Okay, I always like to put some chocolate on my board. And this is a wonderful dark chocolate. It's 80% cacao. It's really fabulous. I brought some of these things if you guys
I
wanna
was on sale. so
buy some. It was on sale at the co-op, yes,
I just thought-
it was.
You have anything to drink with it?
Okay, peanut gallery. Getting there. I think I have a couple other things to say. No, I said it. All right, what else? Yeah, healthy crackers, of course. Sorry, Sally. I'm moving target.
That's okay.
All
I'm
right.
sticking with the camera action.
Yeah, I'm glad you, huh?
I was just.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was waiting to say, you will know what would really fulfill that is microgreens, and we just happen to have people here who are selling
I
microgreens.
know.
Chocolate dip, like.
Or they're lion's mane mushrooms that are really.
Okay, well, I don't know how pretty this is gonna be. My daughter's not here. She does the pretty stuff. Here's some dried mango. I'm kind of slapping it all in here. And then some dates. And, oh, we have a couple of flowers here, so maybe we'll put that on that one. And dates. I think once I get the crackers on there, you can probably take a picture. So if you go to Trader Joe's and get crackers, I love these crackers. It's mostly seeds. They have two types. This is the one you want, my healthy
Yeah.
friends. This is the one you want, not the other one. I think there's oil in it or there's some bad thing in it. I don't know what it is.
You know, when you started, I thought, I might try that, but this is getting very intimidating.
Gosh, I'm sorry.
How many hours a day do you spend in the kitchen?
You know, I have never done a demo. I have done talk, but I've never done a demo.
Yeah.
And I didn't want you to be bored. I hate to go to a talk and I'm like, okay, I know.
Oh,
all
I
that.
know, we're fascinated. I brought
Okay.
some breadsticks too in case.
Excellent, but I can always come
Did you
back and
make
show
them,
you
Sal?
other stuff. Did you thresh the wheat, Sally?
Yeah.
I blessed
You
it though.
you
I
drew the
blessed
weed.
it. I personally blessed the
Okay.
breadsticks, okay? Uh-huh.
Yeah, throw the weed.
Okay, thank you. You're gonna organize for me. Thank you. Do you want,
Lots of water.
well,
That's gonna fall.
yeah. Where are we? Are we just eating it up here? Probably, huh?
We're just gonna, take a plate and fill it later this.
All right, now, I didn't think I could bring alcohol.
No, we don't drink alcohol.
To a place. So what am I gonna serve you? I am gonna serve you.
Or get one more in it.
I got up this morning and I mulled you some cider.
Oh, of course.
And I'll tell you what, I
They drew the apple.
did, I grew the apples
Yeah.
and I pressed it. My husband actually did make hard cider, but we're like, well, we can't take hard cider with us. So I got some apple cider. This is like, wonderful, but I put a vanilla bean in, which I've never done before, but you know, cloves.
You went to Madagascar.
I went to Hawaii.
Okay.
And let me tell you a trick. Should I tell you a trick when you go to visit the orchid farm in Hawaii? Wait, did we get these in Tahiti? I got the first ones in Hawaii. Okay, when we went to Tahiti, they try to sell you, of course, you know, you're gonna visit their farm and I went into the grocery store.
Yeah.
And I bought everything on the shelf. And so you're gonna taste that vanilla bean in here,
I'll
cardamom
remember that
pods.
money saving tip the next time I go.
That is a money fly to Hawaii
Yeah.
or, and
Go
then
to the grocery
Tahiti,
store
and then you go to the grocery store.
And you save
We-
all day.
Like my son says, we like to live high, low.
Yeah.
Go to Tahiti, go to the grocery store. So, okay,
Yeah.
so there's apple cider. Maybe, could you move that back? Could you take the apple ciders back to that table? And then in my little magical, yes, my little magical teapot, I blend teas on my farm. Here is, in the Aladdin teapots, I have Nefertiti tea. Get it? I have a pun. So if you don't have high blood pressure or you're not pregnant, and you know, a lot of vegans have really good good blood pressure, I thought it was safe to bring you some Nefertiti. You can drink that. Licorice root does some weird stuff to edema and to your heart. So there's Nefertiti in here,
Okay.
and I hope it's hot still. Thank you. And, if you wanna get some, here's my little stash, my husband, you should probably take that back and clean it up. And, make me not take all of this home. And squares in there too. Okay, so we got everything unwrapped here. We got drinks. We got all these things. All right. What else? Oh, well, there's the pumpkin shaped cheese. Can you tell which one is the cheese? These are real pumpkins. This is Garden Club. Notice the crackers. I did not buy those. I did a double batch of cashew cheese. You asked me if I did anything with. Well, I didn't. No, never mind. Forget that. I tried to make a recipe where my pumpkin stayed really well together, and I tried it with a yogurt, and then I took sauerkraut that I had made, and I used like half of my sauerkraut, and guess what happened? I ran out of agar in the middle of making this slurry to make a pumpkin. So I had to let it sit there while Amazon was gonna deliver that to me, because I live in the sticks, and the Giant Eagle didn't have it. And by the time it got there, it molded. So we're not eating that. What we're doing is eating this one with, arrowroot, made it a little bit, stand together a little bit more. I have sherry and miso, nooch, spices, and then I thickened it with a slurry of water and agar, and I showed you the trick already. All right. Ooh, well, thank you.
Wow. Wow.
We got through. That
was amazing.
We got through. So
That
you
was
can point your
amazing.
camera at this QR code that my daughter designed for me. And that can take you to my website, and all of my social media channels are on the banner on that website. And I should say, we have people that come and camp at our it's a little farmhouse I showed you. But, so I don't put all my vegan stuff on La Dolce Vita all the time, because some of them aren't vegan. But I do have a little Instagram that I put on, like if I'm traveling, what I'm eating, what I had for breakfast, whatever. I'm into putting that blue-green algae spirulina into my yogurt lately, and that is on my Instagram feed. And that Instagram is called Pretty Good Zing. So at Pretty Good Zing. As my dad says, well, it's gotta have some zing if I'm gonna eat it. So, all right, I think I have too far. Well, I can go back to that. I think I have some references for you. So, I wanted to cite all the, artists that made these Instagrams that I stuck in there. And also there was a great article in Eater in 2021 about vegan cheese. It's ready to compete with dairy, but is the world ready to eat it? And you saw Stephen Colbert say, yeah, we were winners.
Wow.
And then a couple other books I used. Okay, time to eat.
Tiffany, what
Yes.
is the name of your website?
La Dolce Vita Estate.
Okay.
.com.
Okay.
And then how do I spell it? Let's see.
I'll put it in the email tomorrow. How about that?
Perfect.
What's the
Okay.
name of the Japanese raw tofu?
Hayayako.
Ayayaka.
And then the vegan Instagram is Pretty Good Zing.
Pretty good. Yeah, I have that down there. Okay.
Okay.
Everyone, wow. Thank you. That was fabulous.
Oh, thank you.
Fabulous.
Thank you for having me.
And before I sign off online, folks, I'm going to show you what she came up with. Let's see if I can get a quick photo here. That is the cheese board.
You got this, huh?
2 cheese boards. Absolutely gorgeous. Wish you all were here to eat it. You will hear from me. Thank you. Bye-bye.
You were the nutritarian?
Yes, that's me.